I'm Dan, and this is 10,000 Hours of Indie, a podcast exploring new music and delving deeper into what goes on in the background of the independent music industry. I'm a musician and passionate music lover, and I wanted to delve deeper into new music in the independent scene around the world. I also saw this as a chance to help artists connect and share their stories, so if there's someone you hear and you want to find out more about, every podcast has links in the show description. Get involved, help this community grow, follow on the 10,000 Hours of Indie socials, you can find all the links in the show description. And also feel free to email me about anything music related, 10,000indie@gmail.com. I'm open to any ideas and love listening to your promos. Youth Killed It are a Norwich-based garage rock four-piece who you really should have heard of by now if you haven't. Having played a host of festivals, including Isle of Wight, and shared the stage with the Kooks, the Lottery Winners, and the Pigeon Detectives, to name just a few, their quirky, upbeat sound has earned them close to 1.5 million streams of their song Popstar on Spotify and airplay on BBC Radio. Last month, they dropped their latest EP, Are You Having a Good Time? Part 1, and after following them for a while, I thought it was time for a chat. I've got Jack, the singer, and Paul, the guitarist. Welcome to the 10,000 Hours of Indie podcast, guys.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Pleasure to be here.
So, Are You Having a Good Time? Part 1 would indicate there's a Part 2 coming.
There absolutely is. Next year, Part 2 will be coming along, and then it will be placed together as a released album.
So there will be a full album coming. That's answered a later question then.
Yes, there will.
Your biography starts, there's more to Norwich than mediocre football and mustard. There's a pretty nice castle too.
There's a fantastic castle and 2 cathedrals as well, and lots of nice shops.
It's been a long time since I've been to Norwich. I did the castle when I was about 12, but I haven't done either of the cathedrals, so maybe it's worth another visit.
Yeah, well, you have to ask Paul here. Paul is the lifelong Norwich person.
Question to you, Daniel. What do you think of the castle when you last saw it? Do you think it's impressive?
I think it's a good castle. It's on a hill where a castle should be and all the rest of it, you know.
The only reason I'd say that, because I've spoke to a few people recently who visited Norwich, and at first they thought it was a water tower. So, I mean, I've always been quite impressed with it and the background in it, and, you know, it's Norman and things, but apparently compared to other castles, it looks more like a water tower.
You've also got a couple of really good venues in Norwich, and I mean, I've been to the waterfront and the UEA many, many times when I was in my teens.
We absolutely love both of those venues. We've been lucky enough to play them both a few times now, and we're gearing up to headline the waterfront next year in April, and we're very excited about that.
Yeah, I saw that on your socials. We'll come to the live side later. I first heard about the band when I heard your second album, What's So Great Britain, back in 2018. Jack, you're the only member of the band left from that period. What happened?
So originally when the band started, it was me and Carlos kind of leading the way. And Carlos is still to this day a very dear friend of mine. He kind of grew apart from music. He didn't like the industry side of it too much. And wanted to kind of go and pursue other things. Like, he's a very, very good climber. So he got into climbing and now does that all the time and moved up north. And so from there, when we lost Carlos, we kind of, I think we lost I'd say the boys, we lost our way a little bit. And then through that, I've managed to find 3 other people that have the same sort of passion and drive as me for live music.
I mean, I was listening back to that album because I haven't listened to it for a while, and I would say all that's really changed is I think you're a little heavier and a little bit more aggressive musically.
Yeah, I would say so. Funny thing is since then my influence has switched and changed a little bit. The boys I've got in the band now, they like a little bit of a heavier tune. They're all from sort of like rock backgrounds rather than, say, indie backgrounds, and so it's definitely contributed to the sound getting a little bit more raunchy.
So let's talk about the new EP. What was your thinking behind these tracks? What were you aiming for, and did you see that through, or did it change direction during the process?
I think we had a conversation, and we said, "You've killed it." When I did the first album years ago, I wrote the whole thing in about 2.5 weeks. It just came out. I didn't overthink. Didn't do too much to it. Just wrote staccato, punchy guitars. And just a sound that was really true to whatever it was I wanted to say that day. And for me, when talking to the boys about that, we kind of went, well, we love that punch of the first album. We love that energy that had. So as long as we can encapsulate that whilst putting our modern day brain into it and how we would do it now and nod to that, that's kind of where we want to be, because this band has always been about having fun and loving what we do and going out there with a smile on our face and having a good time. And so that was really what we tried to encapsulate in the music. There's some themes in there lyrically that are a little bit darker, which I like to nod to occasionally. But in terms of the actual sonic sound of the record, we wanted to put out something that we felt was all killer, no filler, and it doesn't give you a little bit of a rest, really.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, you've got some lyrics which are a little bit darker and it kind of contrasts with the music. Is that a conscious thing, or is it something that it just happens that way?
I don't think it's conscious. No, I don't think it's conscious. I love a juxtaposition. So I do love something that sounds nice, but might be a little bit dark. And I do like those kind of like eerie undertones in music when I listen to music. I grew up listening to The Streets. I grew up listening to Jamie T. I grew up listening to all those sorts of groups that kind of had something to say. So there is something I want to say in it, but in terms of a conscious decision, it's kind of what hits when the pen hits the paper, how that comes across.
So what happens first? Do you write the lyrics and then take it to the band and put the music to it, or does it all happen at the same time? What's your process?
It normally starts with a riff. It will start with some chords or riff or music. Music always generally starts first. And then from the music, it's kind of what first comes to mind. What's the lyric that sticks in my head? What's the tagline for the song? What is this song telling me it needs to say? And then we go that way. There are some times where I'm like, right, we need a song, or Paul will say to me, Jack, we need a song about this subject or something. What about this? Could you write a song about this? And I'll go, okay. And then when the right bit of music comes along, that's when those lyrics appear.
Would you say it's the riff that drives your writing then?
Absolutely. When I was younger, I used to love grime music and in hip hop and anything like that. And from all the people that I used to follow and listen to, they used to get sent beats and write words to the beats, and whatever the beat told them to write, that's what they wanted to write about. And that's kind of where that influence comes from.
Because you've got quite a spoken word style in some of the songs, of course.
Yeah, exactly. That is kind of what I vocally where I'd class it. Some people say, "Oh, it's rapping." I don't find it rapping. No, it's rhythmically spoken word. That's what I like to call it.
I agree with that. And there's some really, really catchy guitarists on this EP, especially. I mean, you've always had a history of having quite guitar-driven songs. Was it you that came up with the riffs for this, Paul?
Jack came up, I would say, with the majority of the riffs on the song. There's a few riffs that I have contributed to the record. A lot of the songs were just written together in the room. Me and Danny, the other guitarist, would sort of be just sitting around, and Jack's got his guitar in hand and he's, writing to a drum beat or something like that, or come up with a riff. But yeah, I've contributed a couple of bits.
With the prior lineup, it was kind of just, we wouldn't have any music out unless I sat there and wrote it all. Whereas with the new lineup, it's very much everyone wants to kind of get involved. So what we do is I'll start some ideas, bring some ideas to the table. We'll start working on them. Paul come and visit me. Danny will come and visit me separately. We'll sort of sit there, tweak some ideas. And then what we did with this one, which was really fun, is we took a week in the studio together to finesse it all. And that was like the most rewarding thing about this record. It was like we all sat there, and some of the songs were like really already done. Some of them weren't. We were singing Kumbaya and passing the guitar around. That's kind of the vibe. And it kind of worked really well.
Is it that you've got your own studio, Jack?
Yeah, so I am a producer by trade. So I work with artists and bands and write for other people as well. So it's something that, I do full time. So yeah, I do have a studio space.
How do you separate working for other people and making this still fun?
That is the question I ask myself every day when I get 60,000 mix changes sent to me. Do you know what it is? You've Killed It is the most authentic thing I've ever been involved with musically. And I work with some fantastic artists that I love, but obviously I'm not in their group. I'm just a contributor to what they do. But with this band, I just feel so authentically, it just feels so authentic that it's like a pleasure to do it. It was something that I used to work in the trade when first started, so I had loads of I couldn't wait to get home and play my guitar and do some You've Killed It. But when it comes to this band now, having the lineup the way it is, it excites me because the boys are music lovers first and foremost. So they get excited about new music. They send it to me. I start listening to it and they say, "Oh, you see what he's doing here? This is really cool. This is a great guitar line. You see what they're doing? Oh, this is awesome." And it spurs me on. So there was a time where it was very much like that, but it's really wholesome. And it takes me back to why I started playing in a band when I was 12 years old, because we just four guys that love playing music.
Do you think that's possibly the reason why you're slower to release material now? Because you're doing it for a living as well, it has to be that much more, not perfect, but you spend that much more time on it.
Do you know what? Now what we're doing is we're planning on releasing loads more regularly, because I think it took a while because of the lineup change, because of the time period and the COVID era. I was listening to so much weird music in COVID that I'd never experienced before, that I didn't really know what the sound of the band was anymore. So it's taken quite a few years of gigging with this lineup as it is now, getting a closeness between us to now understand we know what You've Killed It is. This is what we want to do. Now we're going to be releasing music in this genre, this style, and it will evolve and it will slightly change, but it will be very much locked to the ethos of the band, which is to have a good time.
And if push came to shove, what's your favourite track on the EP?
My favourite initially was A Lovely Day for It, but moving across, I do love Scratch Card King. That is a big favourite of mine.
I'd probably say, Lovely Day for It, just because I really enjoy playing it live. Like it goes off and it's good fun. But Johnny Bravado as well, just because I had more involvement with that, so I feel more connected to it, I guess.
That's a good link for me, because I'm moving on to social media next, and I'm going to talk about the video for Johnny Bravado. I did think, from looking at your dance steps, you'd make a fine boy band.
Well, funny enough, that was the goal originally. And then we realised we weren't quite the lookers for it. So what we did is we just learnt the moves, and we thought we could bring the average men of Britain to the forefront.
It's a great video. I mean, it's one of those that's instantly memorable, I think.
Yeah, we had a rough plan for it, but we kind of just made it up on the day. Some of the things came last minute. I mean, the mullets and stuff like that, we always knew we wanted to do that because it's just funny dressing up. You have a laugh. But some of the scenes, some of the shots are, we kind of just made it up there and then. Very inspired by like Phil Collins, I Can't Dance, those sort of dance moves that you're sort of getting. That's kind of where we were sort of nodding to, if that makes sense.
Bit of Ian Jury as well. That's the best compliment I've ever received. And that was a guy coming up to me after we played and said, "You got a bit of that Ian Jury about you." And I said, "Oh, please tell me more."
No, that's a good one. The video for MPC also includes an appearance on your bass drum head from Norwich's favourite presenter. Is that just a nod to Norwich, or is there a deeper story to that?
It's a complete nod to Norwich. When people think of Norwich, that seems to be one of the biggest things they think of is Alan Partridge. And we just like silly things on our bass drum skins. We've had Harry Enfield from Kevin and Perry. We've had Ricky Gervais. We've had different things on the bass drum skin just to have something fun. You can have a band logo on a bass drum skin and it's traditional and it's fun, but I feel like it's a space you can do something fun on.
You could sell advertising space and make some more money.
Oh, you need to send some emails out.
Yeah, no, that's a good. I mean, I personally am an Alan Partridge fan, so it kind of just made sense. So when we were like thinking of bass drum skins, it made sense to go with Alan Partridge. And then I spent a few, probably wasn't that long. I was just Googling images of Alan Partridge, and that was just one of them that I found and sent over to the boys, and they loved it straight away because it's just a funny pose, and then we just put it on there.
I enjoyed your YouTube short promoting your 2000 Trees Festival appearance. This is one tree. Next week I'll be playing surrounded by 1,999 more. Did tickle me somewhat.
That's the Partridge coming out.
How is your relationship with social media in general? Because I guess you guys are a bit younger than me, so I guess you've grown up with it, whereas for me, I have to actually work hard to enjoy social media.
I think, to be fair, we've gone through different parts of it. We aren't the youngest people out there, so we kind of grew up with it when it was a little bit more pure in form, and we used it a lot in the early days, and then we kind of got, like most people, sick of it and then kind of pulled away from it. Didn't really understand the video content as much as what it used to be with the pictures and stuff. But I think especially over the last year, we've sort of realised, oh, if we have fun with it and we just do what we want to do and do ourselves, be ourselves, then we feel a bit more truer to it, and so we're a bit happier to get involved with it.
I think that's definitely the key, is you've got to be yourself, because if you've got to put on a facade every time you do something, it just becomes a chore, doesn't it?
People can read through that too. You got to be authentic and enjoy what you're doing.
On to live shows. Between the recording of this podcast and the release of the podcast, you're going to play Wembley Arena. Are you excited, and how was the gig?
Very, very, very excited. I mean, there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of tears when we got told about it. I think we were all absolutely taken back by it. To be acknowledged by a band of that stature that you admire so much, and we draw similarities to in so many ways. It was like a kiss from the Godfather. That's how I explain it. Or watching your favourite Premier League footballer lift the Premier League trophy, and it was just a moment of just pure bliss. And also just to sort of nod to the heart, nod to the work and the years we've been doing it, and to be acknowledged for that as well was, I can't even put it into words. It was like unfathomable. It was just, we would been, happy doing what we're doing, moving along and stuff like that. And then to be given a chance like that is just absolutely phenomenal. I can't even explain it. Paul, you're going to have to explain it.
So the gig hasn't happened yet. It's on Saturday.
Although by the time this comes out, it will have happened, which is why I did the tongue-in-cheek intro on that one, yeah.
I can't tell you how I'm going to feel. I'm not going to know until I walk out on stage. It still doesn't feel quite real. So I took the call from the Raytons. They called me up and said, is that Paul? Do you want to come and play Wembley? And I thought it was someone messing around, because I didn't have their number saved or anything. I generally thought, this is someone from work's having me on. They didn't say too much. They just said, do you fancy playing Wembley? So I didn't really take it too seriously at first. And then I realised as I started listening to the call, and I could tell it was Johnny's voice from the Raytons, I was like, oh no, this is actually them from there, and this is happening. And so I had to call up the boys and let them know, and I think they're in shock. It's surreal, and it's so cool of a band of that size to be able to do that for smaller acts. It's not just us. They're putting on. There's a 16-year-old boy who's an acoustic songwriter, and he's just played pubs, and he's now going to be playing Wembley Arena for probably his 10th gig or something. And that's a big step up. And someone like the Raytons, they don't have to do that. They pull their mates in, make it a big show. They don't need to support any grassroots bands or anything like that, but they do that, and I think that's really cool. And it's definitely that sort of thing is kind of, that feeds into us, and we believe in the same thing. And, when it comes to our waterfront show in Norwich, we want to help our mates out and help the bands that haven't had an opportunity to play that stage and do that. So it sort of comes full circle. Until we stand out in front of 12,000 people, I can't tell you how I'm going to be. I'm excited for it, though. Definitely excited.
Are the nerves starting to go a bit with only a few days to go?
For me, it still doesn't feel quite real. Not that I need to go into much detail, but, I've been ill the last few days. So I've just been focusing on getting better. But come Friday, Saturday morning when we're travelling to Wembley, I think that's when the nerves will really set in.
I think the same thing, to be fair. I think in terms of the nerves, I get pre-nerves. I don't get nerves when I walk out there. I've already kind of morphed in to what I'm going to be and what I'm going to do. But now, and in the last couple of weeks have been, a little bit weird. I guess is the easiest way to say. But I'm with Paul on this. I think when it comes down to it, it's going to be the best moment of our lives.
You've just supported Star Sailor when they came to Norwich as well. I actually interviewed Ed Harcourt this morning, and I only realised when I was doing the questions for this that you guys were both on the same bill last week or the week before?
Week before, yeah.
Yeah, so how was that?
With the Star Sailor show, a couple of the boys they're a little bit pre my time, Star Sailor are, but a couple of the boys in the band used to love them when they were younger as well. So it was really nice to play with them. They also had a member of Travis filling in for them as well, which was a nice touch. But they were the show was a strange one for us because obviously we're quite a rowdy band. I like to call what they write as proper songs, where we write a little bit more emotional songs, I guess, angry emotional songs. But yeah, they were absolutely fantastic, and Ed was an absolute gentleman. He was lovely to us throughout the night, and so was Star Sailor. And it was actually a really lovely audience, which we were unsure because we thought we might be a bit too rowdy for the night. But luckily, they got what we did, and they really enjoyed it. And we got some really good feedback, and everyone on the night was lovely.
So what have you got planned in 2026 in terms of the live thing? I mean, obviously, you've already said that the second part of the EP will come out, or the second EP/album will come out. But how about live-wise? What have you got?
So, yeah, we're going to be announcing some live dates off the back of part 2 in May. I don't think we will have announced the dates by the time this comes out, so I can't really give away too much. But we're going to be hitting your main cities across the UK in May.
How about festivals? Have you got anything in the works for that?
We're doing a festival for Signature Brew in London in February. And then we haven't got any confirmed, but we're having talks with festivals for later in the year in 2026, yeah.
The final question, what music are you listening to that people that listen to the podcast may not be aware of and should take some time to check out?
I think people should be checking out. He's kind of getting his flowers now, and he's been working hard for years and years. And I think that's the Skinner brothers. I love like that they're now getting what they deserve. They've been at it for I think even longer than us, and they've just been grafting and grafting. And Zach's a really talented songwriter, writes some bangers. And so I'm really happy with that. And also there's a band from Norwich that we really enjoy as well called Pleasure Inc. They're wicked. They're doing bits as well. They're a really cool sound. We played with them for the first time together in the summer just gone, and they were a really, really good live band. So if you get the chance, go and check them out as well.
Yeah, no, I just echo what Jack said about Pleasure Inc. They're one of the bands in our area that are doing really well, and you can see that when we did play a show with them, they had a big turnout. Everyone knew their songs. Everyone was singing the songs. You could see there was something happening there. So yeah, expect to see more from them, I'd say.
So for anyone wishing to find out more about the band, there's your website, youthkilledit.com, and you're on Instagram, Facebook, and Bandcamp.
Don't think we're on Bandcamp, but you can find us on Bands in Town, which is the important one because that's where you see all the shows.
Are You Having a Good Time? Part 1 by Youth Killed It is out now on all streaming platforms. Thank you for your time, guys. It's been a pleasure having you here, and enjoy Wembley.
Thank you ever so much, and thank you very much for having us.
Are you going to head out and do the Good Evening Wembley?
I'm just going to look out, and I'm going to look out to everyone in the audience. I'm just going to say bonjour, and that's what I'm going to do.
Bonjour. No, you've got to say Wembley. You have to.
Yeah, I will say Wembley. If I can work out what it is in French, then I'll say that.
I would say it's probably just Wembley with a dodgy
probably
accent.
Just Wembley, so you just be saying bonjour Wembley.
Wembley. Yeah. Okay, that's what I'll do then. But it took me 30 years to learn bonjour, so all right, we're getting there.